Hello and welcome to Dream Team Coach TV, and it's another home fixture this week as I'm broadcasting from my bedroom. I'm Sean Burke, joining me is Andy Taylor, Jack Townsend, and escape from Alcatraz, it's Graham Marshall. It's always you. You're always surprised. You're always
I'm not surprised. I'm surprised at your lack of originality.
The mystery word game is still going, and hopefully we remember this week, myself
God.
included.
Sorry, lads. I let everyone down.
Surely there's a bit of a forfeit for that.
Well, I mean, also a forfeit for Sean for not remembering to call me out on it, to be fair. Like, we just completely forgot about it.
Oh, deflecting the blame.
I don't know
Never
about
your fault.
I'll take it. I'll take it. But yeah, I mean, come on, it's in the script. It's in the script, Sean, to say remind.
Once I give you the responsibility of the mystery word, that's your baby, you know? I've got a whole show to run here, you know? I can't be micromanaging.
Jack, have you got it?
That's what he
I
would
would
say.
tell you if I had.
You would tell me.
Yeah, we've done this before.
So if you've got it, then that makes you a liar.
So that's Andy then. I'm glad we cleared that up. It's Andy then.
But if you don't want to know what it is, and you want to play along, look away now. Okay, right. It's there. In a turnaround slower than Per Mertesacker doing a Cruyff turn, Spurs have gone back on their decision to furlough staff and are now paying them full wages for April and May. It's taken them a while to come to this decision. Will this affect their reputation in the long term?
It's the right decision. I think we all agree on that. We were talking about this last week. But a lot of people are going to see this as like half a job because they shouldn't have done it in the first place. And there's a lot of people who didn't totally understand what the statement said anyway. There were people in the replies who thought that they were going to pay them the 20% and still use the furlough scheme. So there's going to be people who will have heard about Spurs doing a U-turn, but the image of Spurs doing this to their staff is going to remain, I think.
Yeah, you think.
Just why did it take so long to what 360 like on it? Not 360, 180, otherwise they'd have a full spin.
They've gone back round, they're doing it again.
To be honest, that's maybe why it took so long, because they get
what amazes me about the statement is that nowhere, I mean, I'm 99% sure that I've read it thoroughly, but if I haven't, I apologise. But nowhere in the statement does it actually admit that what they did in the first place was a mistake.
Yeah, there's no apology, is there? There's no sorry.
They've just said that we're gonna reverse the decision because the fan reaction was not what we expected. So is that Levy's way of saying, look, if we ever hit financial troubles in the future, it's not on me, it's on you guys because you forced me to do this. Surely to God, as a club, you've got to come out and go, we got this wrong.
Yeah, and it's also taken some of the focus off. I mean, there've been teams, I think it's Southampton, who are doing really good jobs of like taking pay cuts for their players, but putting that money, rather than taking a pay cut, but that money doesn't go back into the tax or whatever, they're using that money to pay people in the local area and go into like local causes and stuff like that. But people aren't talking about that as much, and it's the same with Spurs. Spurs, buried deep in that statement, had a little section about how they were going to start using their like stadium for clinical use, right? So they were going to have like maternity areas, like screening areas, like and that's fantastic. And this is the sort of story that would have been met with huge praise if they hadn't have done what they did to begin with. Now it's a footnote on Spurs' story in this pandemic.
Yeah. What do you guys make of Gary Nevilles' suggestion that clubs that furlough staff should be subject to a transfer ban? Do you think that's a good idea?
I personally think it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Of all the things that I've seen written and spoken about during this pandemic, I genuinely think that's the most sense I've ever heard someone speak. Because it makes so much sense. Like, why are these clubs haggling for a few $100,000 a week when then in 3 months' time they're going to go out and spend £60 million on a new right back? And it's just so true. And they should definitely not be allowed to use government money and then go and spend millions of pounds on needless players.
It's essentially the taxpayer paying for transfers. Then all of a sudden
But that shows you what the people at the very top of those clubs value more. So it's not about the people working in the stadium. It's not about the people working in the offices of these clubs. It's about like the value we can add to the teams. So they're saying, oh God, we've got to save these pennies here, but we'll still do exactly what you said there, buy a 60 million player, because that has more value to them as a as a selling proposition, again as a money making proposition.
It's exciting, isn't it, for fans, isn't it? It creates
a new player.
That'll pay off, you know.
If you have used government money, then I do want to be in that scouting meeting when they're trying to look for their next midfielder, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be paying for, you know, a bit of his wages.
The taxpayer should get some input then, I think, if they're paying for the transfers.
Yeah.
So we need this winger, but Janice from Croydon, you know, she thinks differently. Andy, I know you said that everything Neville says is good and makes sense, but like at the end of that article, he finishes it by saying Wolves are in caps lock. So
does he?
I saw that as well. Yeah.
So
you have to
all
agree
right.
with it.
Fair enough. Andy thinks it's fine.
All right, he's a tosser then. Sorry, I'll take it all back.
Although players' legs aren't running, their mouths certainly have been, if you were to ask the Premier League, that is, as BT and Sky Sports have been banned from asking players about the resumption of the Premier League or the effect of the suspension overall. Why is the league getting wary of players saying too much? In case people guarantee things, or they can't promises they can't keep.
I think they don't want to be seen to be ignoring the advice as well. I think so. I mean, if Premier League clubs were all told, "Oh, it's happening at like the start of May or something," they wouldn't want to be seen to be going against what the government advice is. You know, if Premier League clubs thought that was what was going to happen and they got their teams back in to train a few weeks before, and everyone else was still sat in their homes going, hey, what are these guys doing? Then it brings back that narrative of like football thinking it's above the rest of us again, which is what prompted all of the chat before about money.
Yeah, I agree. And you see a lot of, because everybody has free time now, it's pretty good actually for a football fan in terms of like a background look at like players' like opinions and stuff, because they're just doing interviews, you know, with their free time now. Bernardo Silva did one. Brazilian Ronaldo had a chat with David Beckham as well the other day, which was quite interesting, over FaceTime. And also, but leading into the original point, is Harry Kane had all these rumours coming out about a potential transfer because of a chat he had with Harry Redknapp, or Jamie Redknapp, right?
Sorry, so chips going on in the background.
No, I see.
No, go on.
Anyway.
Well, on the banning of media, do you not think it's just saving everyone just a lot of unnecessary chat that every player is going to give you the same answer?
Yeah.
Just because nobody knows. No one knows. The CEOs don't know. The government doesn't know really when this lockdown is going to end. We can't make. Why are we asking people that are not, i.e. footballers, that are not educated on the issues of the pandemic about serious issues? You know, it's. I think it was Klopp, wasn't it? Klopp who, before the lockdown happened, he refused to answer questions on it because
he was going to ask doctors and stuff. Which
I totally agree with. We're pigeon. The only thing that can come from asking a footballer is something controversial. There's nothing good's going to come from asking him. All they can say is, "Oh yeah, it might happen then," and then you're going to give someone false hope, and then it doesn't happen. So for me,
it gets a bit boring as well. Just the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that comes from like the lack of other content, right? So normally at this time of the season or whatever, we're getting towards the business end. Like the league's either being wrapped up, or you've got like FA Cup, Champions League. There's stuff to talk about. Right now, the only thing anyone wants to talk about is something that you don't really get big updates on day by day. Like there's not any idea about when any sport will start again, let alone football. So you can't ask these people who are waiting for answers just like us when this is going to start again. I mean, they're sort of streaming and doing stuff all the time, and people are asking in the comments. Like I think we talked about the Dele Alli thing the other week with him and Kevin De Bruyne, and they were chatting and speculating, but they've got no idea either.
True.
Like, they're waiting for their clubs to say we've been given the all clear and like go back to training tomorrow. Like it's not. there's not a discussion to be had.
Yeah, true. I do have a question from the media for Jack, though. Saw you eating something there. What's on the menu today, Townsend?
We've got chips with mayo and ketchup, which is a lovely little elevensies.
Because you love a carb, don't you?
Second breakfast.
Yeah, we had what did I have?
Had
I had
one,
toast
yes.
for breakfast, so it's another carb. But expertly prepared by my housemate.
Lovely stuff.
I don't know
Like
if you can
it.
hear him in the background or not.
So
A little bit.
So we obviously can't ask players, but like, what do we all think? And now again, none of us are educated on the pandemic, right? But like, what's the sense? How long do we actually all think this is going to go on for? If you
I
had
think
to say,
my attitude is a kind of pessimism in a realistic pessimism. I'm not like, oh, everything's awful forever. I just think it will be longer than you think. No matter what the prediction is, it will be longer. So just don't even think about it for now. I think this is the way to look at it. This is business as usual for at least the next couple of months.
Yeah.
You know, so just might as well get your head down and get through it.
So, mate, I'm on a call.
Oh, can you just quickly,
What?
what time is this? I can't work it out.
Mate, why are you showing me wingdings?
Sorry. Something like that.
Sorry. It's absolute hecticness about here.
Paul Pogba has had a pop at Graeme Souness this week by saying he didn't know who he was, to which Souness replied, "Put your medals on the table. Regardless of the conflict, it's just nice to see that one aspect of the season is continuing as usual." Lads, Pogba or Souness?
Well,
Who's
the
your
first
pick?
bit that stuck out to me about that comment is the way he started it by saying, like the old saying goes,
Yeah.
put your medals on the table. What? Have I been living under a rock? Because I don't know if I've ever heard that saying. Is it?
No,
is it a
I've never
sports
heard this
term?
as well. I've never heard this. So I was like, what are you talking about? He really built it up as well.
Is it a Scottish
Like the old
thing,
saying
or-
goes.
so
Do you think he was playing for time there? Do you think he was really like, he wasn't sure what he was going to say? And he was like, yeah, well, because as the old saying goes... Oh, shit.
Is that your Souness impression, is it?
No, right. I also want to point out that there was a brief moment when I heard you think about doing a Scottish accent. At the very start of you saying "put your medals where it is," I heard like a twinge of a Scots, and you just pulled out, you backed out.
I haven't had enough
So-
to drink.
You can see him in the... Yeah.
Souness has got a track record for giving it big time though. I can't remember where or who said it, but there was a famous incident at Blackburn Rovers where him and Dwight York used to butt heads very regularly because they just kind of clashed on who was the better person, like the better player, or who was the most successful. To the point that I think Souness used to get involved in training and basically used to absolutely clatter Dwight York. And then I think one day, literally on the Friday before a game, they both clattered each other and then they just started fighting. But the thing is with the Souness, well, for me, on the Souness-Pogba debate, I would go with Souness. But I don't feel comfortable like just slagging players off during this current like crisis. It just doesn't feel
seem
right.
a bit weird, yeah.
Do you know? So like, if I had to say, I'd say Souness, but I don't want to say because of a negative reason towards Pogba.
No, but at the end of the day, they're both class players.
They're players
It's
in
Yeah.
different
like-
eras
it's not
as
for,
well.
yeah,
Like,
they're
And
very
I think-
different.
I think Carragher has kind of stitched him up a bit there as well, because what's Souness going to say to that? He's going to have to reply in a
Yeah.
in a horrible way, kind of thing. But what I would say is that kind of, I was saying to someone yesterday, I was like, the argument of medals in football is probably the one thing that no one can ever really argue at. If someone plays badly or you want to criticise someone and they turn around to you and go, well, I mean, I've won 5 Premier League titles, so does it matter that I've given the ball away and been conceded? I've got 5 Premier League titles. I don't think anyone could come back to that. I think it was Jermaine Pennant who used to train at Bury with his Champions League medal. Now, I know that's horrible and that makes him look like an absolute... But you can't argue with it because he's got a Champions League medal. I don't think Souness has given Pogba enough credit for the EFL Cup that United won in 2016-17. If I'm truly honest, He needed to have looked at his actual medals haul before he said that.
That is true.
Well, I mean, if he was, I think Souness won 3 League Cups, so
Oh, really?
So-
Okay.
maybe he did look at it, and that's why he went off it. I mean, the only
Seriously though, Pogba has got 4 Serie A titles. I don't think you can actually give him the medals on the table. Like, Souness was very confident in how he said it.
Yeah.
Medals on the table. I could understand if he said that to Andreas Pereira or Diego Dallo. But, like, he said it to someone who's actually got 4 domestic titles and a World Cup
I think it's also
and a Europa League.
It's also worth pointing out as well that, like, it's a better argument if he says it to a player who's been big time, who's also retired like he is. Pogba is 27. He's in like what should be the prime of his career. He's had a few injuries, obviously, over this season. There's still time for him to easily win as many things as Souness did.
Shall we
come back to this when Pogba's retired? Yeah, exactly. It's an argument that works now, and then Souness would probably turn around and go, "Yeah, he only did it because I G'd him up." Like that's that's the sort of argument.
Yeah, probably. Mystery word update. It has been said.
Oh no!
Right.
So-
Did you slip it in that lot?
It's been said. We can chat about it after this last section as well. But so just have a think back. But it has
Raz.
been dropped.
If you're playing this out,
I absolutely am not. Unless right, the only way it could possibly be done if it was me and not knowing it was me is if I've accidentally said it because it was just a weird word that Sean's picked. But I promise you, it's not
God,
me.
so that
That's
makes
not
Jack
me.
a liar then. That makes Jack an actual liar.
How does
That's
it make me
really,
a liar?
that's really horrible to know that you'll just happily lie like that.
Well, how can I be a liar if I'm not a liar?
Well,
That's
if
terrible.
you're not a liar, then
That
that
is
also has to
terrible.
make Andy a liar, doesn't
I
it?
mean,
That
look
is
at- look at-
terrible.
I mean, look at Andy playing
That
straight
is
each
shooter.
other.
terrible.
He's deflecting there. Andy is. Look at him.
Straight shooter,
you.
Andy.
And finally, it's time to pick up where we left off with our Ultimate 11. Each one of us will pick our all-time Ultimate teams going from position to position with each passing week. This week, we'll be picking one of our centre-backs. So, what are you saying, guys? Graz, you can go first.
Okay, I feel bad for what I'm about to do here as a Spurs fan because I spent a lot of years hating this man.
I see where this is going.
He made... No. You don't see where it's going. You like to think where it's going.
Oh?
I think I know where you thought I was going. I'm not going there, and I will never say his name.
Okay.
The actual player I'm going to say is John Terry. Off the pitch, he had a checkered career, but on the pitch, if we're going back to Souness' medals on the table, it's hard to argue with what he achieved in the Prem, alongside a number of also pretty fantastic centre backs. He had like a genuinely decent David Luiz before he went wrong. Ricardo Carvalho is one of the most memorable pairings. They even got good performances out of William Gallas. He won Premier Leagues for fun with that early Jose era, and he won Champions League. Sorry. But I would, before we move on, like to make an honourable mention that I'm going to get absolutely slated for by you guys. And I think you
I wonder who it is.
You almost certainly know who it is. He is the king of what ifs, and if that wasn't a big enough hint, I think you already know who it is.
Does this not mean he's your worst?
He's absolutely not my worst. That'd be ridiculous. He is my honourable mention, right? If he
Dodgy knees.
if he had more than one knee, as the song goes, like he would have been one of the best, I think. And I think
Surely it's the biggest flop then.
No, because he was still fantastic. Imagine being that good with one knee.
Who are we talking about?
Imagine being that good. Yeah, I mean, you might
I
not
don't
know.
know.
Everyone else has caught up with it.
Ledley
Ledley
King?
King.
Okay, right.
Ledley King.
It's got.
Next up, Jack, who's your pick?
Well, surely it's Virgil van Dijk, isn't it? Best.
Yeah.
Best guy, best centre back ever to grace the Premier League. No.
Give it a few years.
Yeah, this is the
Give it
argument
a
we've
few
had every
years.
week, isn't it? I think, again, if we come back when Pogba's retired to talk about Souness again, then maybe Virgil van Dijk features in that list then. But it's too early to put him in a Premier League all time, isn't it?
I think so. Somebody like John Terry is, well, like you say, Graz, he was there for like a decade plus in the same position. Because we've seen players come and go in the Premier League who are like fantastic for a couple of seasons. and then they either leave or they lose their form. So, but I mean, the way it's going, if he kept this up for another few years, yeah, I think so. I think he could.
I'm just putting my money ahead of the game.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Andy, who is your pick?
I'm going to go with another vote for Van Dijk, which
That's why he didn't go back on you.
It goes against everything I stand against, really, because I'm a huge believer in, we need to give credit to people that we've not quite seen in our generation, people slightly before our time. If you look at Tony Adams, Martin Keown, they're all outstanding players. John Terry, outstanding player. But do you know what? We have lived through the era of John Terry and, say, Rio Ferdinand as well. And both were world class. But I didn't see them make the game look as easy as Van Dijk makes the game look easy. I don't know whether that's just me as a fan, whether I'm just getting caught up in the Liverpool hype. Maybe it is. But I've never got the impression that John Terry and Rio Ferdinand almost enjoy someone taking them on so that they can make them look like an idiot. And that's exactly what Van Dijk does. And I don't really get it often where, say, Wolves play against a team and I'm in awe of someone. For that game, I'll hate them. But I just can't hate Van Dijk because he just makes... Adama Traore, one of the quickest players I've ever seen, and Traore cannot get past Van Dijk. And he just makes everyone look like it's men against boys, essentially. So for that reason, just in terms of... I'm sure that John Terry was a better header of the ball and Rio probably read the game more, but in terms of someone... and Van Dijk as well, he's not coming up against donkeys. He's coming up against some of the best players we've ever seen in the league in terms of Aguero, Harry Kane... and he's making them all at bang average.
Right, the mystery word. Does anybody have any guesses?
I've no idea.
What did you say, Graz?
I've said a lot of things, but I definitely didn't say the mystery word, which makes one of you a liar.
What a liar, Jack. I'm never going to trust you again. You would steal. You would steal on golden balls, wouldn't you? You are...
Yeah, you two thought you could trust each other. Is that how? You were going to go and go to Wolves?
I thought I did. Until now, I thought I trusted
Before the
Townsend.
quarantine, you both applied to golden balls together. You both wanted to go on.
It's not, I don't know why you're going at me. I haven't even said it.
Well, we're going to find out in about 10
we're
seconds.
Find out
so why are you still keeping it?
And which one of you I'm definitely not going on golden balls with.
I will always maintain I throw straight darts on this show.
You don't throw straight darts.
I do.
Well, we're about to find out.
I'm going to find...
this phrase? Okay, I can reveal the mystery word was wingdings. And not only did Jack say it, Graz said it after he said
That's
it.
not fair. That's not fair. Interaction with housemates that I thought were going to get cut from the show.
That.
I thought that was going to get cut from the show. Did you get him to do that?
Yeah.
No.
Of course he did.
Because you seem so genuinely pissed off with him that I breezed past it. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I'll hold my hands up. Well done. Yeah.
Fair play, Jack. Fair play.
And yes, I am a liar, but I play to win.
Never going to trust you again. Obviously, that is awful.
Well, Graz, at least I know I can trust you.
Yeah. And weirdly, I mean, I didn't know I was going to say this, but at least I know I can trust you about the mystery word. I didn't think.
There we go.
Let's think about all the weeks when we've asked you and you've gone, nope, I haven't got the mystery word, and you have had the mystery word.
No, but that's not
last week.
No, that's not the same. No, but I don't go out my way to say that I haven't got it, which is what you did this week.
No, this is not, you're not throwing straight darts now, Andy.
I'll remind you of that when you've next got the word.
Right, I'll wrap it up. Well, that's all from us this week, folks. Thank you again for joining us on another episode of Dream Team Coach TV. Look after yourselves, and we'll see you again next week.